Have you wondered why weight-bearing exercise makes your bones more dense? Or for that matter, have you wondered why exercise makes your muscles grow? There's a chemical process going on in both cases, and we'll be talking about that science today. With baby boomers getting older, osteoporosis and hip fractures are becoming more common. And it's only recently, in the past 10 or 20 years, that science is learning why it is that weight-bearing exercise makes your bones stronger and prevents bone loss. And the reason might surprise you. Bottom line, it's all about muscle. But to explain that, I need to give you a little bit more background. So about 50 years ago, science discovered cytokines. Cytokines are the chemical messenger. They're a little protein that cells from one part of the body use to send messages to cells in other parts of the body. And cytokines are responsible for a lot of things. So for example, cytokines can boost anti-cancer activity, they can boost or suppress your immune system, and so on. Adipose tissue also can send chemical messages to other parts of your body, and it can make you grow man boobs or other nasty stuff like that. These messenger proteins or cytokines were discovered about 50 years ago. In the last 20 years, they've discovered a specific subtype of cytokine called a myokine. And what a myokine is, it's one of these chemical messengers that is released when skeletal muscle contracts. And they found receptors for myokines, that's the chemical messenger, on various organs throughout the body, like fat cells, muscle cells, liver, pancreas, bone, brain, heart cells, etc., as well as in your immune system. And scientists are just now beginning to understand what it is that myokines do, and some of what they're learning is really pretty interesting. For starters, they've found more than 600 types of myokines that are secreted during exercise, and they do a variety of things. One of them that I found interesting it's called irisin. We know that exercise is beneficial. One of the reasons appears to be that when you exercise, you secrete irisin. What irisin does is it delivers a message to your muscle cells that they need to grow. But it's not just that. Irisin also tells adipose fat to turn into beige fat. I've done other videos on beige and brown fat. If you want to check those out, click subscribe, and then when the video ends, go take a look, see if you can find it. There's beige and brown fat are both really pretty cool. Now, there's another myokine that I wanted to talk about, and this one is a little bit, I don't know what you'd call it, it's kind of an inverse myokine. When you work out, you create less of this one. This one is called myostatin, and if irisin is one of the heroes in our story, myostatin is one of the villains in our story. Irisin and myostatin are secreted inversely. In other words, the more you work out, the more irisin you make and the less myostatin you make. So why is less myostatin a good thing? Scientists created a group of myostatin knockout mice. What that means is they created mice that were genetically altered so that scientists, if they chose to, could switch off their myostatin production. And so they created myostatin knockout mice, and at some point they switched off the myostatin production in the mice. And after 3 months, the mice had spontaneously gained 26% more muscle tissue. In other experiments, they've learned more about myostatin. So for example, here's a quote from 2010. They said that myostatin is the causal pathway of acquired insulin resistance with physical activity. What that means is when you don't exercise, your myostatin levels rise and increased insulin resistance is the result. There was another one in 2016, and what they found is that by inhibiting myostatin, they increased bone density and bone remodeling. The absence of myostatin signaled to bones to get more dense and to remodel. So it sounds like decreasing myostatin is a really good thing. So how do you go about decreasing your myostatin? The short answer is through physical exercise. In 2018, a study compared the effects of both resistance training and high-intensity interval training on myostatin levels, and they found both of these to be effective. Another study found that, I quote, prolonged aerobic training, such as swimming, cycling, and walking, are widely beneficial to all body systems, but there are clinical evidences suggesting that none of these activities provide an adequate stimulus to bones. In other words, walking is good for you, but it's not going to make your bones stronger. You need weight-bearing activity. So if you have osteoporosis or if you have weak bones, how do you go about making them stronger? How do you engage in heavy weight-bearing exercises if your bones are weak already? Well, here's the good news is, based on what we're learning about myokines, you don't have to engage in high-impact exercises. You don't have to put your bones under a lot of load. The reason is that it has to do with muscles, not with bones. So in his book, Body by Science, that's worth checking out if you haven't yet, Doug McGuff presents a very high intensity but low impact workout. And I'll include a link to that here in the video. In fact, the type of slow loading, high intensity workout that he presents in his book was originally designed for women with osteoporosis. He needed something that would provide a lot of muscle contraction but without jeopardizing bones. But they have since found that it was highly effective not just for people with osteoporosis, but everybody in general. Learning about myokines has prompted some people to want to skip over exercising and just buy myostatin suppressors, because you can buy them online. Now, that's probably not a good idea. There was a 2020 study that investigated myostatin suppressors, and they found that, yeah, they were good at suppressing myostatin, but that's not all they suppressed. As I mentioned earlier, there's more than 600 types of myokines that get expressed when you contract muscle tissue, and they don't know what they all do yet. They just know that when you take a myostatin suppressor, it suppresses a lot of things, and some of those are things you don't want suppressed. So for now, if you want stronger muscles, denser bones, more brown fat, more irisin, less myostatin, improved insulin sensitivity, you'll need to go about it the old-fashioned way through relatively high-intensity exercise. Anyway, if you found this helpful or interesting or informative, give me a like and subscribe. Until next time, we will talk to you later.